Hello and you're welcome to the Big Tech Show with me, Adrian Weckler, in association with Square. Square can help with your business needs from menu management and online ordering to payments. Visit square.com for more. Now, ever wonder whether it's worth getting a wireless doorbell? Might it add to your home's security? Or are you just sick of answering the door in person? If so, are you wondering which one to get and what they might do? This is what we're going to talk about today. I'm joined by Kurtis, Reid, technology columnist for the Belfast Telegraph. Kurtis, welcome to the podcast, first of all.
Thank you very much, Adrian.
Yeah. Let's set the parameters first. What is a wireless doorbell and what does it do?
Yeah, so simply it's a doorbell that's just received a very high-tech upgrade. A wireless doorbell it's installed on the front door of your house. It normally connects to your Wi-Fi system and has a CCTV camera built into it. There's lots of different versions. A wireless doorbell doesn't have to have, the high-tech camera functions. It can also, simply just be an upgraded chime option. But ultimately, it's a smart doorbell. It's a way to upgrade your old-fashioned little button in terms of being able to connect to all different devices.
So we often hear about people we know or neighbours who might have something like an Amazon Ring doorbell, for example. Mm-hmm. So let's stick with that as an example. Typically, what kind of features will that have? Does that have the camera, for example, to record?
It does, yes. So Amazon Ring, without a doubt, is the most popular brand. It really captivated the market when it was, when Amazon purchased the company Ring back in 2018. It does. It has the camera and it has the ability to record audio as well. Now, depending on the model that you want, it's going to do different things. It's also going to record in different standard definitions in terms of the camera. But ultimately, it's an intercom service of which you press the button and it will record the audio and the footage once it's pressed, and it'll be able to either connect to your devices such as your phone or such as an Amazon Echo device, and you're able to just see who's at your door or hear them as well.
Okay, so you have a home, you have an Amazon Ring doorbell. I come to your home and I ring this doorbell. What happens? What do you see? On what device do you see it?
So, for example, the main device that everyone's going to have is a mobile phone. So you're going to have the Ring app, and it's when you press the button, it's going to connect to the Ring app, and it's going to give you an alert that someone's at your door. Someone's pressed your Ring doorbell. You're able, depending on the model that you have, it's going to connect to the app, and you're either going to be able to speak to the person through an intercom service, or it's going to simply record that video footage that's captured through the actual Ring doorbell itself.
So we're talking, when I press the doorbell, we then, presumably you tap accept or respond or something.
Yeah.
And then we start talking, do we?
Yeah, so it can work both ways in terms of like an intercom service. I mean, you'll see a lot of advertisements for the brand where a delivery man comes with a parcel, he presses the Ring doorbell, you're not in, it connects to your mobile device, and you're able to give him instructions on where he's supposed to leave them.
And you can see me, but I can't see you.
Yes.
Okay. So that's a live conversation that we're having. Now, supposing you can't get to your phone, or you just decide you're not going to answer your phone. What happens then?
So the Amazon app will record the Ring doorbell app will record the interaction anyway. So most of them are either, it very much depends on the device that you have. So I don't want to put out there that every single doorbell is capable of this. But if you have a Ring doorbell that's capable of motion detection, it will automatically record the video and the audio once motion is detected. So that's your delivery man coming up your driveway. So that's, you're able to see where he left the parcel, and that's automatically recorded. And the audio is also stored depending on your system preferences. And you could be able to look back at that. So you're in work, you've left your phone, you're in a meeting, you come back, you get a notification that motion has been detected at your door. You're able to look back at the video footage, look back at the audio footage, and see where the delivery man has left the parcel. It's those types of things. And then ultimately as well, you can have that two-way conversation like an intercom service where you're able to connect to your Ring doorbell and able to speak through it.
Does anything trigger the motion detection for those devices that have that feature?
Yes. So some devices, particularly Ring, are very motion sensitive. So this has caused a lot of debate when it comes to actually, looking into buying one of the options.
Mm.
So, for example, a lot of people have cats. Cats very known to do whatever they want. So if they go out at 3 a.m., you don't want a notification on your phone saying that motion has been detected outside your house when it's simply just Fluffy going for a pee. You want to be able to you can minimize those interactions in terms of the actual Ring doorbell itself. There's motion sensitivity, but if someone walks towards it, it will automatically turn on and it will automatically start to record. Now, not to scare everybody, if you're just walking past somebody's house, if they don't have their motion systems or their motion preferences altered in any way, you likely will be recorded as you walk past.
That's interesting, actually. I'm just going to park the features and the brands for a second and just go down that little alleyway for a second. So if I have a Ring doorbell, for example, that's on a terraced house on a public street, for example, that faces the street, this thing is going to be zinging and blinging all the time.
Yeah, not to put anybody off, you are able to alter those in your settings. You can turn off motion sensitivity altogether, where it automatically doesn't pick up, a bird maybe flying past, as we've seen in various TikTok videos where Americans record large insects landing on them that have somewhat triggered the motion sensitivity. But yeah, there are very legitimate concerns when it comes to privacy, particularly when the device itself is able to just record a simple person that's able to walk, or simply a person that's walking past the device itself. So it's a very gray area.
Yeah, it's just to stick with my analogy of that terraced public street. Let's say you've got 20 houses, and let's say 10 of them have a motion detecting video doorbell. You're going to have very interesting footage there of somebody walking by on 10 different devices. I'm aware, for example, of some instances where there's, let's say, been a spate of burglaries or thefts, and there's a community association or residents association. And it seems to me, correct me if I'm wrong here, that some associations now will actually try and organize an informal liaison interface with the police or the guards locally for the handing up of doorbell motion triggered video footage.
Yeah, we see it quite a lot. I mean, particularly here in Northern Ireland, we see a lot of instances where the PSNI were put out public appeals for not only dash cam footage for traffic incidents, but for people who may have footage of the perpetrator of a crime that's been captured walking past. If they notice that people have these devices on their doors, they are essentially at their core. The doorbell seems to be the smallest little feature. They are handy CCTV intercom devices which capture footage when motion is detected. So if a crime is committed at 4 o'clock in the morning, you don't have any alterations to your motion settings on your device, and a perpetrator walks past your house, it's in the area of where the crime took place, the police very regularly put out appeals for people to hand over that footage so they're able to look at it.
It's an interesting debate, isn't it? Because on the one hand, if I live in the house where there has been on my street a spate of bike thefts or something, or break-ins to cars, I'm probably sympathetic to the idea that my neighbour would hand up footage that could lead to the, arrest or apprehension and maybe the return of my bike. On the other hand, if I am very privacy conscious, I'm starting to get freaked out by the idea that no matter where I go in a built-up area, I'm now recorded, whether it's by dash cams or Ring doorbells or CCTV.
Yeah, I think it's perfectly legitimate to have concerns around about, with the amount of CCTV and the amount of footage that's being captured in ultimately an area where it's supposed to be private. You don't want to feel like your neighbor is recording a conversation that you're having with your spouse in your driveway. That's a concern that legitimately many people
Although,
have.
Kurtis, it'd be great for the WhatsApp groups, right? The neighborhood WhatsApp
100%.
groups. They love it.
Yeah, and this is another thing. thing as well when it comes to actual, privacy concerns as well. For example, a delivery guy who comes to your house to deliver your dinner, he walks away, he trips and he falls. He doesn't want to have to think that you're going to watch that back 40 million times, send it to all your friends in your WhatsApp, or even post it on TikTok.
Yeah.
It's all about a reasonable expectation to privacy. And when it comes to the actual legal concerns around this, it's still a very gray area, trying to get a very firm answer in terms of without, but this depends if it's this, it depends if it's that. And that's different in every country as well.
Yep. And particularly, I should point out, I mean, you're talking from Belfast, it's a slightly different regulatory setup now between Dublin and Belfast with the Data Protection Commissioner here from an EU, UK point of view. So it is interesting. I have interviewed the Data Protection Commissioner before and asked her about these topics, and she definitely has a strong view on it. But as you say, it's not something that is to the fore for enforcement with guards. And if anything, the guards tend to go the other way. They tend to encourage the use of these doorbells.
Yeah, it's the exact same here in Northern Ireland as well. I mean, the PSNI very much, appeal for the footage that may be captured. They advocate if somebody is concerned about their safety. It's one of the first things they even recommend to people, saying, "Oh, have you thought about maybe installing a camera? Have you thought about maybe one of those smart doorbell devices?" Because they know that as much as there are, there's privacy concerns about every aspect of tech, but ultimately you're looking at something that may help in the long run. We here in Belfast a couple of months ago had a very famous case where a young woman was targeted in her home, and the entire ordeal was captured on a Ring doorbell. Now, that footage itself went extremely viral, but it was able to capture what happened to this woman, and charges were later brought against the people that perpetrated it. And it really started this conversation of, had that Ring doorbell not been there, that footage would have never been seen, and it would have just led into a he said, she said type debate.
That's a really interesting. I mean, I suppose the other reason for getting one of these doorbells is just that you don't like going to the door anymore, the same as you may not like answering a phone. You screen your calls. This is an interesting one. Is not going to your door and letting your Ring doorbell handle everything and screening it that way, is that dystopian or is it liberation?
I mean, it's a really good question. I was looking up some stats, and it seemed that Ring doorbell from Amazon specifically had its best year in 2021, which is ironic considering that we were still in the throes of the pandemic and most people were primarily working from home. So it was quite strange to see a statistic of Amazon sold 1.4 million of these devices in that year alone, when everybody seemed to be at home and could perfectly answer their door. You seemingly answer their door anyway. Maybe it was people who were thinking about the eventual return to work. But yeah, it certainly raises some questions when you look at it at its very core, which is that simply it is designed so that you don't have to be either in your home to answer your door, or you simply can't be bothered to go.
Yeah, I mean, are we tooling people up to not have to deal with other humans in person?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I mean, I think, I'm sure the same arguments were made when text messages came about and people didn't like answering the phone because they didn't like communicating that way. And now we're just advancing in a way where now you don't have to even answer your door. You can instruct the delivery man from the comfort of your sofa on where to leave your...
The exception to that is voice notes on WhatsApp. Oh my God, I have a pain in my head with people who decide that they're going to leave you a 3-minute, 40-second voice note on WhatsApp or some other platform. And in theory, the humanist side of me should rejoice in this kind of communication and this interface, but actually it's a giant pain in the neck. And I don't think they're doing it, by the way, for the human interface. I think they're doing it because it suits them more to ramble on for 3 minutes.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's all about tone as well. It's about getting that tone across of how you want to say something, because you don't want them to read it. You want them to hear it.
I know. Leaving our own sardonic observations aside, we've talked a lot about Amazon Ring. Are there any other brands we should be considering here?
Yeah, definitely. Google has a very popular Nest model. It's weird though, because when you go to look at the rival brands, it's very strange, because although Ring doorbell they didn't invent the format, they simply just capitalized on it. They all look very similar. They all, I think it would be very hard to actually tell the difference between a Ring doorbell and maybe a cheaper option from a different company. But there certainly are, Amazon are not dominating this field alone. Google have an option called the Google Nest. very similarly priced to the Amazon Ring doorbell. Then you have cheaper options, companies such as Blink, the tech company Anchor, most famous for their portable chargers and power banks. They own a subsidiary called Eufy, who has one. The really great one about that is that it doesn't require a subscription, because I don't know if people are aware, if you purchase a Ring doorbell, you have to buy the subscription.
Now tell me about that.
Yeah. So I think a lot of people think, oh, I'm just going to buy this wireless doorbell. It's going to come. I'm going to peel off some sticky back plastic and stick it on my door, and that'll be me sorted. It is not like that. Not to say it's not as easy as that, if you're a little bit more tech minded, but it's not as simple. So first of all, if you purchase a Ring doorbell specifically from Amazon, you will have to pay a subscription. So the subscription includes things like cloud space, the ability to record your audio, store your video footage as well that's captured from it. Ranges from about £3 to £4 or €5 to about €6 a month, depending on what level of subscription you want. A lot of companies, such as the one I mentioned there from Eufy, their video doorbell, it's just simply called video doorbell, they don't require a subscription, but they do offer little add-ons, like similarly to your iPhone, you can buy more cloud space if you want to store more video footage and more audio footage. And then another thing to take into account as well is that if you're purchasing a smart doorbell, you have to make sure you're either purchasing one that's rechargeable, which is powered by a rechargeable battery, or one that is wired. Because if you think it's just going to be very easy to put on your door and you purchase a wired option, you are going to have to, physically install that doorbell into a doorbell system that you hopefully already have. Otherwise, it's going to be very, very complicated.
Yeah, that's a really good point, particularly from a security point of view, because if there's an obvious wire, then it could probably just be cut, couldn't it?
Yeah.
And are they fairly easy to set up and install in general?
Yeah, they are. I mean, because, it's tech companies that are leading the innovations of this, they're trying to make it as simple as possible. So, for example, if you go on Ring's website, which it encourages you to do after you purchase one, you can watch, I think it's about 10 to 15 YouTube tutorials where it'll talk you through the entire setup. And that ranges from the most complicated wire setup to a simple rechargeable battery, or how to take the case off it and such like that. But yeah, they are very much aimed at accessibility. They know that you don't want to have to pay, a person to come to your house to have to, install this entire thing, because, you want a smart doorbell because it's going to make your life easier. So you don't want to make installing it, to make your life harder.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, Kurtis, Reid, technology columnist from the Belfast Telegraph, that was very informative. Thank you very much for joining us on the Big Tech Show today. Thanks to Tabitha Monaghan, who produced, to Gav Hennessy, who is on sound, and Colin Doherty on video. My name is Adrian Weckler. You've been watching or listening to the Big Tech Show in association with Square. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye-bye.